artificial intelligence. That's where we left off.
Yes.
That's where we left off last episode. So it's a good place to pick up on this episode. We talked about Chat GPT last week. So let me ask you this: will AI be the next big sector to invest in? Because that's everything. It's always about, okay, I keep hearing about artificial intelligence, but how can I
hmm
make money from it? Can I invest in it? Should I invest in it? So what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I think this. I want to officially say that I think the Fang era is dead, and we are now in the building stages of seeing the AI revolution take over. So, of course, Microsoft invested 10 billion into OpenAI. The top four is going to be a competitive landscape. I don't think one company is going to dominate it yet. It's going to take some time, but if you want exposure to it, the stock of the year that I picked, the top of the year, Microsoft, is a good way to get started. I think because there's going to be so much competition in the space and there's so much money flowing into the space, we're going to see a lot of players pop up with different iterations. So Chat GPT Pro is coming out soon. I heard that is amazing. There are some other versions that are allowing you to be able to build businesses and some startup ideas that are floating around. I think AI, even though this isn't the true AI, if you will, this is like the consumer facing AI, but this is the next wave for this decade. AI is going to have a huge impact. And most businesses in tech have been ran off AI for a while. So Gmail, for example, has been run off consumer kind of facing AI for the last 5 or 6 years. But we're going to now see that at scale. It's going to impact the trade market. It's going to impact all startups. We talked about Google Docs and Microsoft Word integration. So Microsoft, Apple, and Google will be like the first three players that really get involved. But yeah, I think for over the next 5 or 6 years, this is going to be one of the biggest sectors to invest in for the future.
Yeah, there's a valuable lesson to be learned in this, and that's follow where the money's going. That's one of those things that we learn in investing, right? Like, what are the corporate companies doing? What are investment funds, hedge funds doing? And when we saw the investment that Microsoft made, it originally was $1 billion in OpenAI, and then that up to $10 billion, which tells you the level of importance and the value that they see in it. But this is also something interesting that's happened. Every time we talk about ChatGPT over the past 3 or 4 weeks, people have been using it. It feels like, like it's becoming something that's become a part of the conversation now, but I feel like people have been using it for the past year, if not 18 months.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have the more conversations we have about it, people are just talking about it in a sense like this is the thing of the future. If you haven't been on it now, you need to do the research. You need to be teaching people about it. You need to be teaching kids about it because this is the wave. Like, there's so many things that are going to be automated. And we always talk about jobs that are being automated, but when we're talking about in the software industry, there's a lot of things that can be automated in that space as well. So definitely, I'm with you on that. I think this is one of these sectors and one of these places in the future that we need to focus on.
So you said, all right. So let's peel back the layers a little bit.
Yeah.
You said that Fang is. I don't want to misquote you. You said that Fang is over.
No.
What'd you say?
The era of Fang stocks ruling the tech sector is over.
Okay. So for anybody that doesn't know what Fang is Facebook, formerly known as Facebook, now Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So those
the only two players out of those I love is really Apple and Google, and Amazon would be third. So I will love Amazon more if Bezos comes back. So I know he's been on TRT or HGH, and whenever he leaves Columbia with his significant other and comes back and runs Amazon will be in my favorite three again. So
that was a tech cartel for the last decade that's pretty much running, that has ran the NASDAQ.
Yes.
And everybody, if you invested in those companies over the last 10 years, you made a lot of money. Obviously, not so much last year, but over the last decade, over the last 15, 20 years. So let's talk about this. All right. If those companies aren't the companies to invest in, and you should be investing in artificial intelligence, what companies should you invest in?
Great question. Apple, Microsoft, Google. I really believe that in the healthcare space, either United Healthcare or Eli Lilly will have a big push. And if I had to pick a fifth player, I think NVIDIA will have a tremendous impact in this market as well. Did you guys see the video that came out where you can like record and look off the screen, and then the AI will take it and have you looking camera facing? So I can like read a prompter here and it would make it seem like I'm broadcasting into the camera in real time. The technology that they are building in NVIDIA and for the consumer base that they have is going to have a huge impact. So when you have new technology come out, because I've been pushing this for the last year, a lot of American companies have not been as innovative as they should be. Therefore, they're going to buy or acquire the rights to a lot of the innovations that come out. And we're seeing this very clearly with Microsoft. I think NVIDIA will be that dark horse that does so as well.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. There's an article we put in the chat. It was that the semi space is going to be, it's the new oil of the generation. Right, so
I love that.
If we're talking about AI, you know that we're going to need video cards and graphic cards that are going to be able to compute that. And so you got to look what's going to actually create the infrastructure, right? So that's AI. We can say it's the way of the future. What are going to be the pieces that are going to have that running at a high level of functionality? And so semis, obviously, in my mind, make perfect sense.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at that industry. So NVIDIA is a good one. AMD, obviously, we are the top tools. But there'll be, Taiwan Semiconductors in there as well. Those are spaces that I'm looking at, and we make no secret about it. And I think we spoke about this in our group chat. Shout out to everybody that was in our chat, the Market Mondays after hours chat. The semis are still something. I know they had a pullback year last year, but we're talking about artificial intelligence, like I said, and technology. These are the things that are going to be making sure that it runs at a high functionality. So make sure that you're paying attention to that space as well.
So, all right. So you're starting five for the next decade. You're saying Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, United Healthcare,
or Lilly and Google.
Eli Lilly and Google. Six. That's just six that you're going with.
Yeah.
So you're not,
and that's why I was.
You're not drafting any new players. You're just getting like veteran acquisitions, right? Because none of these companies are new companies. So
that's a mistake to invest in new companies. Usually,
it's a mistake to invest in new companies. Explain why it's a mistake to invest in new companies.
Let's say hypothetically, a company wants to compete with Apple. I always say invest in companies that have the top 5 market cap, because they can go buy up. Like, once again, if Tim Cook gets upset right now because of what Elon has been doing at Twitter, he can go buy Tesla today cash if he wanted to. Now, would they allow the sale to happen? Maybe not, but they have the cash on hand to do so. There's no different than Sony. Like, if Lola Brooks becomes the new Nicki Minaj, yes, she can go independent, or Sony could come grab her, or Interscope can come grab her, and they can rebrand her in the light that they see, right? So we have to look at these major companies as the same way like a record label will run. So when 50 Cent wasn't the hottest thing on earth, Interscope did not fall off. They found other artists to invest in, another sound to invest in. So it's really about holding the companies that are innovative, but the ones that will acquire the innovation, like Napster, Winamp. None of those companies really benefited from the music industry, even though they were the pioneers that walked in streaming and sharing. Apple was the one that destroyed the music industry while profiting from it. I truly believe Microsoft and Apple will do the same thing in AI. And if the artificial womb plant, matrix plant, begins to happen at scale, I won't be surprised if Apple, Microsoft, and Eli Lilly move there as well. The companies with the biggest bags are usually going to win. It's been the case since the beginning of time. The players may change, but if you look at a company like IBM, when you don't shift, or let's say Salesforce or Adobe, if you don't transition fast enough, that's when you get left behind. That's when you don't invest in the new technologies that are there. The biggest companies are always going to win, though.
My graduates from my school being Forbes, bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop, bag drop.
Bag drop.